Computer says we're live.
Okay.
There it is.
How about that?
Bada bing. Okay.
Good evening, I'm Reverend Karen. I'll be your chairperson for this evening's service. Thanks to everyone for taking part in the quiet energy work portion of our service. Quiet energy work happens every Sunday prior to service. Your cooperation in building and maintaining the sacred space is greatly appreciated. Let's have an opening prayer. Divine Creator, thank you for being here and overlighting us. As always, we ask for your guidance because it is through you that we are sent in the direction that is most beneficial to our higher growth. So won't it be?
So won't it be.
All right, and now we're going to say together the universal greeting. If this is new to you, please watch the service workers to follow along with the interactive hand movements. I offer you peace. I offer you friendship. I offer you love. I hear your needs. I see your beauty. I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from a higher source. I salute that source in you. Let us work together. I'm going to try to oust the frog from my throat. Goodness. Okay. Now we will say together the 9 principles of spiritualism. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Whatsoever you would that others should do unto you, do ye also unto them. We affirm the moral responsibility of the individual, and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul, here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing contained in all sacred texts are divine attributes proven through mediumship. This evening's program will include an inspired talk by Reverend Miller.
Yep, I'm going to try. I typed up some notes and neglected to pick up the hard copy. So tell me if you can hear me. I'm going to walk over here and... Oh, where is it? Here it is. Tell me if you recognize this, Karen. Somebody else might too. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Here's another thing to consider. Why wish for a straight river? Instead, improve and trust your navigation skills. And I paraphrase that because this morning a group I'm a part of was talking about this book called Find Me a Straight River. And basically it's what it was about. It was like, there's no straight river. You just got to get good at it. So in these thoughts of how to release and overcome your fear, to unleash and understand your superpower, consider these things. Be not judgmental, be curious. Do not pretend. Be authentic. Do not reject your darkness. Accept your power. Do not refuse parts of yourself. Invite curiosity. And lastly, this is from an author called Anita Morjani in a book called Dying to Be Me. This woman had a near-death experience, and she says this: I want to clarify that my healing wasn't so much born from a shift in my state of mind or beliefs as it was from finally allowing my true spirit to shine through. Many have asked me if something like positive thinking caused my recovery, and the answer is no. The state I was in during my NDE was way beyond the mind, and I healed because my damaging thoughts were simply out of the way completely. I was not in a state of thinking, but a state of being. It was pure consciousness, what I call magnificence. This state of oneness transcends duality. I was able to get in touch with who I truly am, the part of me that's eternal, infinite, and encompasses the whole. This definitely wasn't the case of mind over matter. I don't advocate that if we believe a certain way, we will eliminate disease or create an ideal life. That can sometimes be too simplistic. Instead, I'm more focused on self-awareness, which is different. Having beliefs means that we must also have disbeliefs. This only keeps us locked in the state of duality and puts us in a constant state of judgment. What we endorse is considered good or positive, and what we don't believe in is not. This also puts us in a position of needing to defend our beliefs when others don't agree. And we invest too much of our energy in defense. We become reluctant to let go, even when ideas no longer serve us. That's when our beliefs start to own us instead of the other way around. And this from Marianne Williamson, our deepest fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest that glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, in that middle part from Anita Morjani, her language that she uses about beliefs and disbeliefs, I think has some conflicting message in it because her words are in dichotomy. You know, it doesn't have to be the belief, disbelief, I don't think. But I thought it was important to consider the this idea that about the positive thinking versus just pure being. I remember watching a presentation from Carolyn Mace. She was talking about this understanding that there's causal thoughts and emotions behind disease and disorder. I mean, you can look at the germ and the physical, the physiology, the can cause disease and disorder, but it's also a causal thought and corresponding emotion. And she said, so there's this idea out there now that, like, if I just get my mind right, I won't get sick. She said, BS. You should thank your body every time you get sick because it's telling you what you need to work on. So one of the things, that's just a little intro and some things to consider as we go into the meditation tonight about understanding your superpower. Period.
We welcome your donations to help us maintain our presence in the community. You may donate via our website, circleoflightstl.org, or through our Facebook page. For those who use Amazon, please consider using smile.amazon.com and choose Circle of Light Independent Spiritualist Church in St. Louis as your nonprofit. Amazon will give us a small donation at no cost to you. We also collect donations for the Southwest Indian Foundation, which provides stoves and food baskets to Native Americans during the holiday season. Each year we allocate funds to help them, and if you want to make a donation specifically for them, just tell us. We thank you for your donations. All funds received help us in our mission to seek, develop, and teach the knowledge of the relationship between humanity and spirit. The crystal globe displayed here is filled with prayer and energy for healing Mother Earth and all her children. Everyone is welcome to contribute prayers for world peace and world healing. We invite you to add your energies to the sacred sharing. We also keep a wooden prayer request box. You are welcome to send us requests for healing. Throughout the week, light workers focus their energies on the prayers to add to the sacred act. We will now say the prayer for spiritual healing found on the next page of our binders here, after which there will be a short silence for you to softly say the names of anyone that you would like to receive extra healing this week. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask the great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. Current announcements. We have a business meeting tonight. Next week, we will be having a meditation by Karen called Roar Like a Lion. So I hope you all join us for that. What else?
Our next big thing is until September.
That's right. Our next,
Do you know when that is?
not off the top of my head, probably near the end of September.
And that's
Pagan Pride. Yep.
We will be at Pagan Pride in September,
Mhm.
Ottawa Park. Expect it to be much nicer weather.
Yes.
How long today?
I had a good time at Pagan Picnic, but it was a little too hot for me, so. I'm getting a little old. It's getting a little old. Getting a little old for me to be running around the heat all day. Which I have some friends who are up in Pennsylvania right now, and they're dealing with heat and rain. So.
Oh Rain and hot water.
Yeah, and you know the usual flash floods. Once again, we thank you for your donations. Let's now have a prayer over the offering. Divine Creator, thank you for the abundance that you give to us that allows us to be able to share it with others. Since you provide us with an infinite amount of energy for us to share, let that energy be multiplied and sent wherever it needs to go for the greater good of all involved. So let it be. We now come to the message portion of the service. The message worker that stands before you this evening actively develops. Who's doing that? You or me? Okay. Her gifts, so that she may be a clear channel for this work. Please actively receive each message. As these come from universal source via our guides, they may be tailored for the individual, but deliver wisdom to the whole. Please address questions about the messages to the message bearer after service. To welcome each of our spirit workers, we sing together to raise the vibrations in our circle. We view the word God as a universal term for deity, rather than signifying any one particular path. I'll be your message bearer this evening, so let's everybody sing Revive Us Again. We praise thee, O God, for the Son of thy love, for Jesus who died and has now gone above. Hallelujah, most gracious, hallelujah, amen. Hallelujah, most gracious, revive us again. We praise thee, O God, for the Spirit of light, who showed us our Savior and scattered our nights. Hallelujah, most gracious, hallelujah, amen. Hallelujah, most gracious, revive us again. As said, I'm Reverend Karen, and I'm here tonight with Running Buffalo, White Mountain, Moonchild, Stargazer, and Dr. Pasteur. As I put in the chat, if you are interested in having a message, you got to let me know, because I don't know any other way. Angie. Angie, Spirit is showing you trying to pull energy into that chakra, that third chakra, that chakra of will. I get the feeling that it's not so much that you're trying to pull the energy in, is that rather that you're trying to keep the energy from being sucked out of you, to have your will be drained from you. Rather than fighting against the energy being drained, simply cut that cord so that that connection is cut and they can no longer take that energy from you. That'll give you a time to bring energy down from spirit and build that chakra up again, so that when you are ready to send your will out, it is fully cleansed and ready for you. Tammy. Tammy, you're being shown crushing an eggshell. Now this is just the shell. You've already blown out the egg. There's nothing inside there. And you know, we often talk about the egg and its symbolism, and you know, the protective shield that's around our aura, the fertility symbols that come along with that. There are a lot of different interpretations for the egg, but what I'm getting the impression of from them is that you're finding the egg in its current form to be too restrictive. So you are making the conscious decision to destroy it in order to allow your energy to expand to a higher level. So this is really good. You've outgrown some outdated ideas about what your limitations are, and you are ready to take the next step. William E. William, you're getting a message that's similar to Angie's, except that it's not that the energy is being necessarily taken for you, but that there's some sort of imbalance in the Kundalini energy. I'm seeing it coming out of the same chakra, the will chakra, but it's actually the snake that we see in the depiction of the energy. It's one of the snakes, the Pingala. And this Spirit says this shows that there is weakness that things are not flowing in the correct direction. They should be moving up smoothly rather than just slithering out in the middle, that you have got a disconnect where you're moving from the baser chakras that are all about the physical and the tribal, and moving into those higher chakras that are about the spiritual. So you are asked to consider where exactly you have found the disconnect between your heart and your will. That there's something that you want to do, but somehow your heart just isn't in it. And what is it that you can do to either get your heart in it or to let that go and find something that you can get your heart into? Shelley. Shelley, you're being shown flying a kite. Just your standard kind of kite. The Spirit says there are a lot of fancy kites out there, and there are people who do things like kite fighting and all of that, extra nonsense, but there's a simple pleasure in just going out and catching the wind and flying a simple kite, just tapping into that mental energy. You don't have to necessarily focus it at any particular time. Just let that mental energy flow through you and allow the winds to take you where they will. You have enough control to, keep the kite in the air and keep it from flying away. But there's no particular goal right now. This is sort of an information gathering thing for you, to let that mental energy just come in. Mercy. Mercy, you are being shown holding a pear, a golden pear. So you are getting ready to take in information at that higher level, because it's a golden pear. It's not one of the reddish pears. And that information will nourish you at a higher level. And they're giving me a pun. It's like the information you get once you take it in, you will go, oh my goodness, that was so apparent. Why didn't I recognize it before? Sometimes they do that to me. I can't help it. Jamie. Jamie, there are those painters who want to get the finest detail in their work. They're either working on a very, very small canvas, or they just want to get a particular detail that is so fine that they use a brush that has a single bristle. Not everybody wants to get down to that level. A lot of people are perfectly happy getting things down in a more general way. But if you are really interested in getting down to the finest of details, then search around to find the exact tool that you need. Because if you're just using your regular brushes, you're not going to get the specificity that you're looking for. Joyce. Joyce, there are some games that have similarities and differences. You can compare badminton to tennis to squash. They are all things that use a type of racket, and you're hitting the ball. Sometimes you get extra bounces. Sometimes, you're bouncing it off a wall. But they have a lot of similarities, even though they are played in different ways. So you're being asked to consider some things that you see in your life that seem different, and you're asked to investigate what is the common theme that runs through all of these, other than it affecting you. We know that you're involved with all of these things, but there's something else that binds these different things together, and you're asked to consider what that is, because whatever that is, if you make a change there, it will have a knock-on effect that affects all of those. So before you make the next move in one of those, if you know what the common denominator is, you can make a move that will perhaps clear up some things. But if you make the wrong move, then it's going to have some repercussions in the other parts of your life that are not the sort of thing that you're necessarily looking for. Susan. Susan, I was watching a video the other day where a gentleman was by hand, with the help of a couple of friends, spinning out flax to make a thick rope. And so he would make 4 lengths of something and then twist them together. And once he had several of those twisted ones together, he would twist those together until he had enough to make this thick rope. When you look at a large project, it may seem like, wow, how can I ever get to that result? And the way you get to that result is piece by piece. He couldn't go directly to those big pieces. He had to start out with those single threads that he had spun out. And once he got those together, then he could move on to the next step. So breaking things down into the smallest piece that is necessary in order to move you forward on whatever it is you're trying to do is the way to do it without feeling so overwhelmed that you're like, I can't possibly achieve that. Lydia. Lydia, the old punishment that they used to have for prisoners was one of the many things that they had was they'd send you out to break rocks in the sun. And so you're out there with a hammer breaking rocks by hand. And you're like, oh, hang on. What am I being punished for? And who's punishing me? And you look around, and there's no guards around. Nobody's making you do this the hard way. So the question is, why are you doing it the hard way? There are much simpler ways to break things down. The big mines use dynamite. So rather than you as one person trying to break the rocks you need to, get the ore that you're looking for to smelt the metal that you need to do the thing that you want to do. Like, I can do this on a much bigger scale just by, drilling some holes, throwing in some dynamite, and backing the hell off, and letting that blow up. And then all of this stuff, we just load it up and take it to the ore processing plant. So making something small and personal and tough for yourself, that's not necessary. You can do this on an industrial scale with very little work on your part. Take it easy on yourself, for goodness sake. Heather. Heather, if we're out hunting back in the old Ice Age days, and there's only one of us, then, we can only get the small things. We can get a rabbit or something like that. It's when we work together in larger groups that we can take down a larger piece of prey that will last the group for longer than our immediate needs. But there's a couple of ways of thinking that have to happen for that to happen. There's the idea that you don't think of other people as necessarily the enemy, that you want to cooperate with them, and that you're thinking long-term, rather than just, I have to get my immediate needs met. There are a lot of people who are, for reasons that may or may not be beyond their control, stuck in that mindset of only being able to deal with their immediate needs. And you, Spirit says, you have the ability to show them that they can move past that point, that there is a community out there that can assist them in ways that allow them to plan towards the future, which is something that they haven't had the ability to do for whatever reason. So you're asked to make use of that ability that you have to help them with their immediate needs so that they can look towards the future. Lois. Lois, you and I are old enough to know about senior benches. And he was just a little hand, and the guy who had the hand would talk about something and say, oh, this thing will be very difficult, and the hand would say, easy, easy. And so there's a part of you that thinks about doing something, you go, oh, that's going to be tough. But there's another part of you, a little voice in the back of your head, and say, oh, no, this is going to be a piece of cake. No problems at all. So, listen to that little voice in the back of your head that says, hey, this is going to be easy. Tom. Tom, at first I thought they were showing you whittling, but you're actually building a defense. You've got, rather than a small piece that you're whittling, you've got a large pole that you're sharpening the edge. Just like the old battles where the horses would come in and they'd end up impaled upon the stakes. You're setting up that kind of defense because you understand that when those higher negative energies want to come in, you have to be prepared to stop them before they get to you to cause any significant damage. And while you can build your walls, it's always nice to have that backup so that they don't even get to your walls. It's easier to keep them at that distance rather than letting them get up close to you. They recognize that this isn't something that you have to do all the time, because you have this sort of stuff generally set. You have your walls set, you have the gates closed, you know who gets to come in and out. But every once in a while, there's got to be some smart ass who wants to come along and thinks he's figured out a way to get past your defenses. And sometimes you have to pull out, the big stuff and say, I don't know what part of this you don't understand, but, there are people who get in and people who don't. You're one of the people who don't. William. I hate it when there's a lighter that gets down right towards the end, because you're flicking it and you're flicking it and you're flicking it, and all you're doing is making your thumb sore because you're getting the spark, but it's just not quite catching because the fuel is really low. And there's a time where you just have to say, there may be a little bit left in the tank of this lighter, but you know what? Functionally, it's done. I have to just toss that and get a new one. And sometimes that it's hard to accept, because you want to get the maximum out of everything that you're doing. You want to get the last little bit out. But sometimes it's just not worth the effort to try to get that last little bit out. And there's no shame in saying, you know what, this is done. Thank you for allowing me to stand between the worlds.
Thank you.
Oh, you got it. I have women snuck in. Well, I'll get that one.
Okay.
Allison. Allison, I'm getting the image where it's a number of things, but it has to do with the heart. And, the song, Take Another Little Piece of My Heart. But what they're working on is a way that they basically strip all the cells out of a heart and leave nothing but the framework of it. And then they reseed that framework with your own cells. So basically, it grows itself into a new heart. And this is the way that they're trying to work towards organ transplantation, where we no longer have to deal with organ rejection, because it would be coming from your own cells. And believe it or not, the heart is one of the simpler things to deal with. It's much more difficult to do, like a kidney or a liver. But they're saying, you don't have to give up part of your heart in order to help someone else with their emotional struggles. You can keep your heart intact. You can give your love without injuring yourself in the process. It's the setting the appropriate boundaries and giving the love and not allowing the negative backwash to come back to you. There is that desire that we always have to give to people in need, but there are some people who will take and end up damaging you in the process. You have to help them to give to themselves so that there's no danger on your part of getting injured in the process, and then they can tap into their own store of energy and rebuild their own emotions and love in the process. Okay, now we'll move on.
Thank you.
All right, our meditation this evening will be presented by Reverend William.
We invite you to be comfortable yet alert. If seated in a chair, feet will be flat on the floor, spine straight, eyes looking straight ahead and then just a little bit above the horizon, eyelids relaxed. Allow the muscles in your face to relax. Feel your breathing slow down a little bit. Your shoulders and arms relax. Your scalp and neck. Feel that relaxation flow down your back and your front. Down through your legs to your feet. As your body achieves deeper and deeper relaxation, you feel the cares and concerns of the everyday world melt away. If any of those things are truly important, they can come back later. Until then, they melt away. Continue to observe your breath. Observe your breath without judgment, without calling it too fast or too slow or anything else. Just observe your breathing. Now with your breathing slow and steady, your body relaxed, you find it easy to turn your attention inward and further inward and further inward into the center of your being. This is in the area of your heart. See here your light, your true essence. As you place your attention on that light, you feel your higher self touch in from above your head and connect with that light. And through your higher self, the source of everything channels light into your center. Naturally, this light expands, filling your entire self. As it is, light and dark cannot occupy the same space at the same time. This divine light coming in via your higher self, displaces any darkness. The light displaces habitual thoughts, obsolete patterns, pain, allow that light to flow into you and through you. Allow that light to expand just beyond your physical body. Filling that energy field we call the aura. Observe the dark being displaced by the light. While this is happening, observe your feelings. How does it feel to be filled with light? You might observe your individual senses. What does it look like? What does it sound like? Does it have a smell or a taste? Does the light have a certain color? As this light fills you and you observe your feelings, allow yourself to feel empowered. And turn to that place in your mind that is imagination. Allow yourself to see what you would do, how you would be, in what way you would change if you knew you couldn't fail. What would you do would you be if you knew you had the power to do it totally and completely without fail? Visualize it, hold it in your mind, hold it in your heart. What would you do? Who would you be if you were guaranteed success? As you engage your magnificent imagination, your power of visualization, any ideas that creep up, doubts that present themselves, cast them out. In front of you is a magical fire. All obstacles can go into that fire. Because they are a part of your personality, a part of your conditioning, a part of your domestication, a part of who you think you are, not a part of your true self. The doubts, the fears, those are your only kryptonite. The doubts, fears, excuses, are cast out, no longer allowed. How does that feel to cast those into the fire? How does it feel to be free? How does it feel to allow that superpower to fill you up? Do you feel it in a particular place in your body, around you? We recognize your humanity. We acknowledge your imperfection. We accept you as you are, nonetheless. And we know you want to grow and change because you are here. So remember, you can repeat this exercise as often as you like. And enjoy this process of releasing and empowering. Until then, please choose now to bring your superpowered self fully into your physical vehicle for this life. Bring your attention to the here and now. All the way down to the soles of your feet, touching the ground. Up through your body, out to your fingertips, into the top of your head. And when you are ready, please open your eyes.
Okay, closing prayer. Divine Creator, thank you for allowing us a moment to recognize our power, to plan for moving forward, confident in our ability to succeed. Let that be our guide as we move through the following days. So would it be.
So we'll be.
All right. Thank you all for being in our circle of light. Please stand with us in unity as we sing together, Let There Be Peace on Earth. I hope that. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let us begin with me.